On behalf of Gokhale Institute of Public Affairs and Indian Liberal Group Bangalore chapter, and on my own behalf, I extend a hearty welcome to Dr. K Shivashankar and to all those present in this hall. The object of GIPA, founded by Dr. D.V. Gundappa, and the Indian Liberal Group founded by Sri Minu Masani, is to promote enlightened citizenship. Dr. Shivashankar was born on 21/1/1938 at Chikmagalur, in which place he had his earlier education. He then did his higher education in BSc Agriculture Honours, MSc Agriculture in Agronomy with distinction from Pune University. He then specialized in soils with distinction and secured DSc from Katalok University, Leuven in Belgium, which also deputed him for specialized training at the Institute of Atomic Sciences in Agriculture, Wageningen, Netherlands. He has rendered distinguished academic service as professor and head departments of agronomy and forestry in the University of Agricultural Sciences, Bangalore, in which capacity he has guided many candidates for diploma, MSc and PhD, and as principal investigator for 12 research projects. Dr. Shivashankar was conferred Fellowship of the Indian Society of Agronomy in 1992, and he is also a Fellow of the National Academy of Biological Sciences since 2008. Dr. Shivashankar has participated in international seminar on nitrogen fixation in Salamanca in Spain, Wisconsin and Oregon in USA, and I-Foam conference in India and Korea, and other special studies in China and Bhutan. He is an acknowledged authority on environment and especially on water problems facing our country. With his extensive and intensive knowledge on the subject, he will be enlightening us on the subject. We are all looking forward to his learned lecture on the subject. After his lecture, there will be a question and answer session for 15 minutes. I request the members present to frame their questions as briefly as they can. With these few words, I now request Dr. Shivashankar to deliver his lecture. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Justice Puttaswamy, the President of Indian Liberal Group and authorities of the Gokhale Institute of Public Affairs and friends. It gives me great pleasure to give you a small lecture on environment and also discuss a few aspects on water. Environment is a subject which is very wide, vast, but it is not taken or given due consideration. If you start from our early life, even from our days of Vedas, environment has been given a great boost, and it has been enunciated in a number of verses also. Even if you take a small act of tearing a cloth, the sound comes back, it sounds and comes back. So it travels round. So is the question of environment. Environment cannot be discussed in isolation. What you do here in Bangalore can affect not only Bangalore but also in Delhi, it can be in America, it can be anywhere. So we are one when we consider environment. Environment will have to be discussed from the childhood, and that is what we do. One of it is about health. The other is about the sanitation, related to health. And then we also go across and study a number of things around us. So here you will have to study something about what is this environment. Whatever that surrounds us is environment. But we are now interested in not just what surrounds us. What surrounds us could be just air or moisture or living or dead things also. In the living things, what we do not see is the one which we will have to also pay attention. Those living things are the microorganisms. So this is to be understood, that environment involves all aspects which surrounds us, and whenever we include living organisms, we then say it is biosphere. Biosphere is a girdle which surrounds the whole earth. Now if you take the earth as a unit, even earth is surrounded by its own a number of planets or planets of the solar system. Universe is also to be considered. So when we talk about environment, it is not just the rainfall or the summer heat. It is a number of things which are hidden. So the rays from the sun not only heat this planet, but there are also low cosmic rays which are modifying our environment. So this is of a far significant significance to environment. So it's all right. So when you think of this biosphere, you have to think about the clouds. Where do you get the clouds from? You get it from the water vapor that is surrounding us. Now, how did this water vapor come about? So we will have to go back to those early days of the earth, somewhere between 4,500 to 4,700 billion years back. Oh, this is a very difficult thing to think of. Those many years, in those early days, it was a molten gas which was just speeding around and going round and round. And at this state, the temperatures were about 4,700 degrees of that mass of air, which we now consider it as Earth. So after a few million years, it started cooling. When it started cooling, it became a molten mass. Then the crust started moving in a sphere, in the same sphere. Now by that time, the temperatures came down to about 700 degrees centigrade. So the crust was formed during this time, and this was floating in a semi-solid liquid situation. It is this condition, after several years, it changed. A number of particles started bubbling and they became the clouds. That is where we have the clouds on this earth. And these original clouds which were formed were from the gaseous mass. And how did that affect us? It's a thing to be known, it's a thing to be seen. What the scientists say is that these clouds started giving rainfall, and that rainfall was not for 1 year or one season. It was for 60,000 years. For 60,000 years we had just rain and rain and rain in this earth, in this planet of ours. So this is the major thing that we see. And today, we have 3/4 of the land, 3/4 of the globe as water, mostly seawater, and then we have only a small portion of fresh water, which is 3%. That 3% is all ice. So what is accessible to us is only a very small percentage, maybe about 0.007% of moisture or this cloud material which has turned into drops or droplets and fallen into the surface of the soil. So this falling of the rainfall or the rains or the droplets is also a very systematically studied thing in the recent years. As long as the buoyancy and the air is able to keep it above, it will be there. But it will start falling as soon as the raindrops are about 1/16 of an inch in diameter. That is where they get the heaviness. So they fall. Now, to form the clouds, you should have some basis or some nuclei. What we were originally thinking was the nuclei was only the dust particles, the ice particles, and other miscellaneous particles. But today they say it is also because of the microorganisms. So microorganisms can form the basis or can form the nuclei of a cloud. So ice crystals are there, nuclei can be penetrated. The big clouds that we see can be also penetrated through an aeroplane or a jet, and you fly above these clouds 35,000 feet and above. So when you are that high, you see you are floating over these beautiful clouds. So I am talking about these clouds because in today's world, the whole environment is described from the movement of the clouds, from the congregation of the clouds. So in those early days of 50s and 60s, in India we had about 3,000 rain gauge stations, and we had balloons left out into the atmosphere. We had also stations in the sea and the water bodies. So all those were giving data into a central laboratory in Pune. And I was in Pune for quite some time to study some things about the rainfall in the meteorological observatory. So they were prescribing it, even today it is done, but they were predicting the weather of tomorrow or day after tomorrow based on the pressure, and clouds was not taken into consideration. It is only in the 70s and 80s when the satellites came to be popular. Beyond that, then we are now looking at the whole weather system through the satellite imagery of the clouds in different places. Clouds travel very fast. Some of them go up to 10,000 kilometers away from where they were originated. So they move, they go fast, and they also can be slow. So this is a part of the beginning of rainfall that we get today. And today, when you talk about Indian weather or Indian climate, you have the monsoons. Now this is very peculiar to our country and a few countries surrounding us. These are called the summer monsoons or summer rains. For the world in the northern hemisphere, these are the summer rains. So how do we get this rain? How is it formed? So that is what we have to study. We study that the whole area, a large area, let us say from India, if you take Ahmedabad and on this side Calcutta, so if you draw a line there and then go further up, that becomes the heat concentrating area. You will have to go further to Arabian countries, to other countries on the east also. So when you see there is a large strip of land which is heated so much. Why is it heated? It is a simple phenomena, tropical. It is called the northering of the sun, or what we have is Sankarmana. So the sun moves to the north, and so the concentration of the rays will be there during that time. What will be the temperature here? It is very amazing that the temperatures could be very high, like 50 to 55 degrees centigrade. Supposing you go to Muscat or you go to Arabian countries, it will be very, very high. And people who go to Makkah, they experience heat waves, and that is a part of the monsoons that we experience here, because it is that heat which sucks the drier or wetter air from below. The wet air is coming from below. From where? From the from the Hindu Mahasagar, from Arabian Sea or the other one. So it just moves up. As it moves up, you see it is a very fundamental aspect of physics. The light air which is heated will have to go up, and the lower air, the heavier air will have to go down. So that system brings you to the cyclonic effect. So we have a lot of cyclones, and that is how we get lot of rains because of cyclones. The monsoon, where does it come? Here. So it is a generation of a gradient between south and the north. We are 8 degrees above our Indian tip in Kanyakumari, and we go up to 38 degrees or near that, or 38 degrees. So we have a lot of gradient here. And what takes this rainfall to come to the right of India? It may come up and go straight across the equator because of the trade winds. It should normally go and hit straight. But that is not the situation. It takes a tangent and it goes to the right. So you call this, it is originating from south, it is going to southwest monsoon. So this is the one which gives us lot of rain. About 60% of our rains are coming from here or more. It can be more also. So when you think of the southwest monsoon, when it passes through the equator, you have something else which is affecting it, and that is because of a force called Coriolis force. So Coriolis force is perpendicular to this. It will take a tangent after the equator because of the spin of the earth. So because it is rotating, it just takes a turn around. So that is why it is going. But on the western side, you have a big barrier, the Western Ghats. So most of the rains that fall here, about 4,000 millimeters of rain, are obstructed by these Ghats. One of the thinkings is that if we cut across this Western Ghat into 3 or 4 portions, we can allow this water to go to the drier areas, the rain shadow areas after the Ghats. So this is what it is. So we have a rain shadow area, we have this Deccan plateau which is dry. In fact, we are in a very peculiar situation. Here in Bangalore, we are in a plateau above. Then we also pass through a small portion of Western Ghats here in Bangalore. Most of you may be not very clearly about it, not clear about it. The Banerghata and that corridor is belonging to the Western Ghats. There are 40 taluks of Western Ghat, and this belongs to Western Ghats. Even in Bangalore, you have Western Ghats. That is not talked about by people. Now, this point I would like to say that we should be receiving about 1,200 or 12,000, 1,200 millimeters of rainfall as an average for the whole country. But if you look at the Cherrapunji and other places, it goes up to 11,000 millimeters. 11,000 millimeters. That's a very, very high figure. 4,000 here. Rajasthan 150 to 250. So it is so varying because of the topography, because of the height, because of the distance from the sea. All these aspects are there. Now we are worried about monsoons. Our crops are dependent on the monsoons, and if the farmer is not able to sow his crop, he cannot think of reaping a good crop at all. So this is the problem. Even if he sows, he may not be able to continue to grow it, because in between there will be 2 or 3 or 4 drought periods. A drought is one which will affect the crop so badly, it will start drying. So this is where we have to worry about. So 2 aspects of these clouds that we talk about is a sustained rainfall situation, at least during the season when we expect it. That is the number 1. Number 2 is that if there is no sustained rainfall, our food production will fall short of our requirements. So this is a very serious situation. So we come to the picture of food production from this simple point. Now I was supposed to talk both on water and environment, and now I will dwell a little on environment, a little further. And you see, you start with air. It is the air which has a lot of things that we do not really understand. So the particulate matter, as they say, or the suspended particulate matter, is very, very small. It is if I take my one hair and cut it longitudinally, about 1/10 of that will be a micron, and that is the size of a particulate matter that is floating in the air without being observed by you. And what is this particulate matter? It can be anything that is coming from dust, from fire, from cooking, from any of these things. So if you take this way, all actions that we do today are related to the particulate matter that we have in the atmosphere. So if you go to Bangalore, you are in Bangalore, but if you are around at this season, somewhere in November, December, January, and even February, you have lot of dried leaves falling, leaf litter. And what do the people do? They strike a match. People who clean it up, they strike a match, and then you will have a lot of dust. Or you take an ordinary rural person away from Bangalore who doesn't have any gas, he will light some fuel. You can imagine that a fuel, when it is being burnt, can release about 55 to 58 chemicals. Quite a large number of chemicals are released. Some of them may be good, some of them may be very harmful to us. We are not sure. So a few German scientists came to India to study what we are doing. What are we doing when we do yaga or yajna? So we burn a few of say fuel sticks or few things, and they have collected the samples from here, from Pune and other places. They are not in a position to say what it is. But it is not just this. It is also, you add ghee, you add many things. Now when you burn, you will generate such a lot of carbon monoxide and also carbon dioxide. These are the two things which will affect the atmosphere. Then you have sulfur. Now if you go to any factory, some of them will produce sulfur. So we have a sugar factory, let us say. It does produce lot of sulfur, or it can also produce lot of carbon dioxide. There are two processes, sulfatation and carbonation. The sulfatation process is for cleaning the sugar into making it very, very bright. So if that is used, then you will have sulfur released into the atmosphere. The other one is carbonates. So you have both carbon dioxide, you will have sulfur dioxide, you will have carbon monoxide coming out from auto rickshaws and all vehicular problems. Then you have nitrous oxides and a number of things. So around 1850s, before we really had any say industrialization, the major thing that started the production of certain gases was only what was being burnt and cooked. Later it was the industries which spewed a lot of chemicals around. So after the industries, so you have sulfur dioxide and carbon dioxide. And after the industry, it is the automobile industry. So the third factor which came into picture was the automobile industries. Today we have something like 28 lakh tons or 28 lakh vehicles in Bangalore, or more, 32 I think, 32 lakh vehicles. So one good thing we did was we saw that there was no lead in the petrol. So unleaded petrol came into the effect. Now lead is found everywhere. Lead is in this atmosphere. It is in all the three forms, like solid, liquid and gaseous form. It is on my head. It is everywhere. And lead is a very dangerous thing. So if you are using a welding material, you use lead also. So you bring that lead into contact with the people. And if this goes into the water, it is again dangerous. So lead particularly is very, very attracted towards the human brain. Not necessarily the elderly people, we are saved, it is the young children. They are affected by lead. So if there is a welding factory or welding machine around in your locality, you should be cautious not to let your children go there, because they use lead and that will be taken up by the children, and that lead will go into the head. Similarly, when you are talking about the vehicular traffic, you go further. What else after automobiles? You have the aeroplanes, you have the jet planes. So what is there coming out from there is nitrates and nitrous oxides. So this is the one. Now beyond this, you go to radioactive systems. So you have that also as a picture. So if you are comparing this aeroplane, that is supposed to be number one problem of great gravity, because that is the one which is affecting us to a great extent. Where is it coming from? It is coming from aeroplanes. It is also coming from agriculture fields. Agriculture, they use a lot of urea. Urea is made up of NH3 or ammonia. So nitrate is released from the fields of agriculture fields, and nitrates and nitrous oxides and are released from the jet that passes through. The thick, white, long chain is only a bit of ice crystals formed during that time. So you get a beautiful picture when it passes through. So this is not a very healthy thing for our atmosphere, because that is the one which can affect us also. Those aspects which are affecting the atmosphere will affect the total warming of the globe. So we call these as the warming substances. Global warming is created by all these gases which I have mentioned, plus there are some special gases. They are called the greenhouse gases, like carbon fluorochloride or other gases. So when you are sitting on a sofa, when you are using a rubber foam or a foam material that is made up of a part of CFCs. Similarly, when you are using a refrigerator, you are using a gas called CFC 12 or 18 or so. Now these fly across when they are released. Supposing the refrigerator goes out of order, you get a dirty smell. Immediately you want to dispose of that. So when you dispose it off, still the gas is out. It will come out. And what is the danger if this is there? The danger is the chlorine of this CFC is the danger point. So chlorine is a very small atom, and what is found in the atmosphere is in the stratosphere, that is about 20 kilometers above, 15 to 20 kilometers. In that atmosphere there is ozone. Ozone is 3 molecules of oxygen. Now this is held very loosely, and this liberated chlorine is the number one culprit, number one danger for the whole world. So this will attack this O3, that is 3 molecules, 3 of oxygen, so 1 molecule. So it can have a chain reaction and all the ozone is going to be depleted. So this is the danger, ozone being depleted. That is how we have greater intake or greater flow of ultraviolet rays. So the ultraviolet rays that are coming from the sun, which normally is protected from the greenhouse gases, from ozone, is affected by the greenhouse gases. This is what we have to observe, that chlorine. So where else you use chlorine? You use chlorine in bleaching powder, or you go to a factory like the gas that is being filled. That gas person may think that your cylinder is not very clean. So the only way he knows how to do it is to use carbon tetrachloride. There again it is a danger thing. Or you go to a washwoman laundry. There you have something which bleaches and makes your clothes very, very white. That again releases chlorine. So a number of things are coming to help the process of global warming. So during 1992 Rio system, the global conference in Rio, one of the biggest the humanity has ever seen is this. 21 principles were drawn. Almost all the countries represented that, and they prepared for this conference for 2 years. Preparation, writing, drafting, making things, and so our representatives were also there. Then the protocols were prepared, and there was a Montreal protocol, there was a Kyoto protocol, all these protocols, that is, we shall do this during this time, within this time we will stop the production of this. All things were planned, but unfortunately none of them have been executed to the right extent. This is a situation which we are trailing now. So by 2015 they indicated that they will cut off and come down to the level that existed some years back. It never happened. Now again, by 2015 they said they will completely remove all the CFCs and others. It's not gone through. Who are the culprits? I must say there are culprits from the most developed countries, USA or America or UK, Australia. These are the countries which are not following what is being talked about. The USA says, okay, no, unless China and India do it, we can't do it. Why? They say a lot of people are there. So they produce lot of environmental harming substances, the waste. Now this is again coming from the individuals as well as the factories as well as things which are happening. Now for instance, you take the case of a per capita emission of a garbage or waste or anything that you see is hardly half a kilogram from all over countries. Whereas the industrial countries can be throwing away 5 to 6 times this or much more. This is the point. So the fight now is China and India should reduce what? To reduce methane that is being produced by our cattle and fermentation industries, and then our garbage and our human breathing also sometimes. You see, you have to remember that we breathe out enough carbon dioxide. And an interesting point is, what is the safety of sitting at home? Elderly people should know that most of us sit sometimes more idling than doing anything else. So we are inhaling many bad gases during that time, including carbon dioxide. There is also a substance called radon, which is related to the radioactive material. Even that is high here when you are inside the house. Whereas when you are outside, this is not the situation. So our body should get a good washing with oxygen from outside. Good walking is a very good requirement of everybody every day, at least twice a day. It's possible. It should be done. So we have lot of disadvantage in India and China compared to them, because we are a large number of people, most populous countries in the world. So this is the point. Now this is being examined in a different way. Let us say that we require about, let us say the requirement like our food, our clothing, or any other thing for that matter. What is the area required to produce this? We require just half an acre. Half an acre we can satisfy an Indian. But if you take an American or a Canadian, you know the requirement. Requirement is not less than 5 acres, 5 hectares even. So that is a large area is required for them, because they are the people who are consuming a lot. So this consumption is something which is very, very bad. So what do they consume? They want electricity, they want even this light that is there produces enough carbon dioxide. The bulbs that you wear, that you use in your families, in your houses, produce enough carbon dioxide. So anything and everything you see, and then if it is a kerosene that we burn in the house, which is the case, this kerosene goes up and up. Now it has been found that the South Asian countries which are using the fuel as fuel material as well as kerosene, they produce enough of carbon soot and carbon dioxide, and this all goes, and an aeroplane was left from south of India, from Kanyakumari, it went up to Himalayas, unmanned flight. It was only collecting the gases on the way, and it was found that the brown clouds that were formed in the region of the Himalaya was from the kerosene burning, from the fuel. So this was something which was very, very bad. So it is the brown cloud which are destroying the glaciers on the Himalayas. Elsewhere, if you see glaciers are in the Himalayas, elsewhere from the polar regions, so the Arctic and the polar region. So we are destroying our source of water. The Himalayas, I now try to tell you something about water. These Himalayas are so big. What is the minimum number of peaks are about 25. It covers about 5 lakh hectares of land, and so much of receding of the glaciers has taken place in the past few years. So the Americans are blaming us, and I blame the Americans, because we shall not study the environmental aspects in isolation. It is not that what we do here is going to affect us. What we do here is going to affect Americans also. So the example is, a ship has been left in the ocean and it catches the spores of diseases, and the flu or any cold diseases that we have here can be transmitted to America in about 15 to 20 days. It's very easy. It's because it flows there. So also the GHGs that they release come and hit our Himalayan mountains. So this is both ways. Travel is on both ways, and destruction is on both the ways. So it is a consumerism, and not necessarily just a few things that we have. But we will have to do something about our fuel. We will have to change our methods. So there are chulas, or there are stoves which can trap all the heat, allow it to go, and not any soot out. So there are a few chulas which are being done. So when you are talking about water, 75% of all the diseases are waterborne, especially for the third world country. 75%. All of them are waterborne diseases. So if our water is not pure, how can we manage? Now water cannot be pure because our air is not pure. So what goes up will have to come down when it rains. So and our rain and river water, everything is muddy, everything is slushy. We are not clean, and our defecation, our own body wastes are going into the rivers. If you take rivers, in our rivers, 30,000 million liters of effluents are going into the rivers. That's a large amount of effluents passing through our rivers. Now if you take our own state, Karnataka, I just said this is only a domestic thing, municipal thing. The other is the industrial thing. We have about 70,000 factories and industries here in Karnataka. And where do they leave their effluents? Where do they leave their smoke? This is very, very, very challenging. And unless you have industry, you can't progress. So this is our fight again with the Americans. We have not yet developed, we are developing, and therefore we should be allowed to use for some more time all these whatever traditions and whatever methods we are adopting, we shall do that. And you have industrialized, reduce your industries or reduce your output of all waste and other things. So that is our argument. So in our case, 70,000 factories. How many factories are there if you take cement factory, sugar factory? So the government of Karnataka, here the Pollution Control Board, has identified 137 types of industries, types, not 137, 137 types of industries which are polluting, highly polluting, and they are called red and large industries. So you may have dyes, you may have cement, you may have aluminum, you may have steel and iron. So these are the factories that are there. So we will have to reduce them, we will have to control them, monitor them. So the Pollution Control Board will have to take care of this. But what about us, the human beings? We waste a lot of things, we throw a lot of things out, the plastics, and the doctors throw away what? Their needles. They throw away their hand gloves after use. They throw away the tube that passes through a patient. Where will it all go? So they have a control. We try to control them, but that is not happening. Why is this danger? What is the danger here? Now, any material coming from the hospital, if it is incinerated, that is burnt at very high degrees of temperature of 800 degrees in the first stage and 1300 or 1400 degrees in the second stage. So that is incineration. So this incineration, if it is not taken properly, it can also release lot of gases, lot of things which are taking place. Now one of the gases that comes out from plastics, not necessarily fully plastics, but plastics and the biomedical waste is the dioxin. What is this dioxin? Dioxin is the deadliest chemical on earth today. I will repeat, dioxin is the deadliest compound present on the earth today. This compound was used in the Vietnam War as a chemical. What for is this used? To defoliate the trees and leaves. Why? Because those people were in the Vietnam War, they were all below such hiding places. So they wanted to kill them first. So the Vietnam War has released this dioxin in a different way, like orange agent. So that is coming from dioxin. Dioxin is coming from PVC and other material. So this is a danger. Now every day the hospitals are creating waste and they have to dispose it off carefully. Now if you are by the side of a hospital or a clinic, you should watch. You should be a good citizen to watch what they are doing. So we have a system of red bag, the blue bag, the green bag, the yellow bag and all that. They are nomenclature, they are given a place. So those which have to be treated in an incinerator will have to be taken out separately and they cannot be left out in the open. And if it is left out in the other things, something has happened. I didn't bring my photos today, but it is there. I have taken a photograph. A big hospital, lorry carrying all the garbage of the city, and the hospital waste is also coming there. The whole thing is emptied and the garbage bag is returned to the hospital. This should not be done. Now, what will happen is, when it is being handled and when it is being burnt, dioxin is produced. Now this nobody knows and nobody takes care of it. Now only Pollution Control Board knows a little, but there is no chemistry known to them. So this situation is bad. So be watchful of the hospitals. So biomedical waste are equally dangerous as the industrial waste. So industrial waste, you have chemicals, you have effluents, you have organic waste, you have inorganic waste, many things are there. So these also have to be taken care of. So in Karnataka, this is the situation, and there are regional offices which are looking at these things, and it is not satisfactory. So it is awareness that is required in all the people, that there is danger here, there is safety here. You should know that. We should know that. So In the case of water, any produce that you make, generally water is left out, which is not usable. Let us take the case of paper, or let us take the case of molasses. So if you take the paper, to produce 1 ton of newsprint, you require 7.5 lakh liters of water. So what does it mean? Such a lot of water is being wasted. But at the same time, you must remember that 1 ton of paper is destroying 17 or 18 trees, big, huge trees are lost. So on the one hand, you are destroying the tree canopy, which would have perhaps given you a very good solution for your problems of environment, and at the same time you are losing that. Ethiopia had lot of forests. The highlands of Ethiopia destroyed all the forests. 90% of the forest is gone. And what is the effect? What is the effect? The effect is the torrential rains would bring back all the rain, all the soil, the top soil. So it is all gone into the sea. So the whole country is a country of hunger. Morning is the time to count the dead in Ethiopia. Morning is the time to count the dead in Ethiopia. This happened, and it was a very, very pathetic situation. So you have a situation where you are creating your own problem. So the forests are not necessarily required to bring you rains. It is required to stop the horrors of rain also. You require good soil fertility to grow your crops. So that is going to be lost. Then the amount of soil that goes into the sea or rivers is very, very high. For instance, in 1 hectare of land, you can lose about 54 tons of soil, good top soil. What will you grow? It takes 1,000 years to grow the top 1 inch of the soil. It requires a lot of time. So what has been developed will just go into the sea. It will become a problem in siltation of the tank, siltation of the riverbeds, and siltation of the river and the sea finally. Now the floods that you have seen 2 years back or 3 years back in Bihar, the Kosi river changed the whole thing. Can I give you an explanation of this? It is a very interesting thing. Now the river comes from Nepal, Bihar, it comes there down, suddenly it jumps down. When it comes down there, it should flow. And when it comes to the Ganga river, when it comes to the last point, the Bay of Bengal, from there is what is called aggradation. Aggradation is whatever silt that is being brought will bring and deposit there. So that will be like this. Aggradation is like this, reversal way. So the soil or the silt will go like this. So this water, which should drain away that into the Bay of Bengal, would not go directly. So there will be huge boulders also on the way. I have seen it in river Brahmaputra, Teesta river. A lot of big boulders are there. Very huge boulders, maybe the size of half of this room. That is the size of the boulders found in the river. That will attract smaller and smaller particles or smaller boulders. So around it can form a huge mountain-like thing. So the river flow takes a change. Now this river Kosi has taken a change a number of times. Similarly, Brahmaputra has taken a change a number of times. In our living history also it has taken place. So we are not managing our water well. Ordinarily through our mismanagement could be in any way. You throw everything goes to the river. So you will have to segregate the waste, should not allow it to go to the land, should not allow it to go and pass through a circle. What happens to the sewerage? What happens to the effluents that we send here? All this is going into the river. There is no way. All of it will finally reach the river. Now that is where we say rainwater that falls on your roof is yours. It is your property. Do not send it to this effluent. So how do you use it is a question. So we shall see whether we can use this rainwater also. So that is the next part which I will be talking about. So you have water diseases, you have shortage of water. Shortage of water. How much is the shortage of water? 864 million people are without water. You can live without food for a month, but you cannot live without water for even 4 to 5 days or 1 week at the most. So for 1 week, if you are not without water, you are going to die. So this is a point which is known. So water is more important, and our water is being used very injudiciously. We are having 400 cubic meters, quite a large amount of water, and that is the rainfall that we get. And 85% of the surface water is going to agriculture, and agriculture is a wasteful thing in many respects. We are not really doing the right thing there. So if you take a crop like paddy, it requires huge amount of rainfall, so a huge amount of water. So it is a water, let us say it just drinks water. It is not living on anything except water. So this is because we give preference, and it is the consumer preferences. We have forgotten the millets, the coarse millets. So many good things are there, we have forgotten them. All those millets come in the dry situation. So in our country we have diverted up to 93% of water. Today it is about 85% or 86%. And in another 10 years, if we don't plan well, we will have problem for water. This water, 85% will have to come down to 70 or less than 65% for agriculture. Then you can have a good meaning in using this water. Now industries require a lot of water, but they need also all the industries should have treatment plants. Now whenever there is an industry, you take the case of an industry in Gulbarga or in Bellary. I have studied this. The amount of effluents coming out of the industry is almost similar to the amount of people who stay there and send their effluents. So this is something which we will have to think of. We are using wrongly in both the places. Somewhere some yardstick is required. So water is certainly an important thing. We have to necessarily use it very critically, very carefully, and we have to make use of the reused water. Now if you go to America, or if you go to some of those places, or Europe, nobody drinks water. They go to hotel, they go everywhere, nobody drinks water. The cost of water is the same as the cost of a Coca-Cola or a bottle of beer. Same, identical, no distinction. Why is it so? Because people would not like to drink that water because that has been purified and taken out from sewage even. Nobody knows it. So it is a purified water. So water is purified, but it is from such a source. So this difficulty is there. Now 1 or 2 points about this rainwater which comes from atmosphere is cleaner than the water that you get from the corporation. The corporation water flows in a large area with a catchment which is full of industries. This is the point. You will have lot of human waste, not just human waste. It is the metals. It is something which you do not understand, which we cannot understand, which is not being analyzed at all. So we have a great difficulty with the drinking water coming from the corporation. They cannot do anything other than adding chlorine, and chlorine is added more than adequately into the drinking water. So you are drinking chlorinated water every day. But if you are able to get your rainwater, distill it, filter it, distill it and put it into the corporation water, you are mixing it, you are using it well. So that is one thing that is required. Now Bangalore receives, I told you already, it's about 860 millimeters of rainfall. How many days? It receives rainfall for about 55 days to 60 days a year. That's the average. Now a small house, let us say it accommodates about 100 square centimeter. If it is 100 square centimeter roof area, you get about 72 to 75,000 liters of water from this area. Not a small amount. It has been found that if you go to Rajasthan or some of the places where water is very scarce, they live on 150 centimeter to 200 millimeters of rainfall, and all the water is stored, and they have huge places, underground areas kept for water harvesting, and the water is used for the whole year. Now our estimate says that if a family of 5 people are there, if they are able to have 30,000 liters for the year, they can subsist, they can live. It is possible without waste. But we are using more than 1 lakh of liter of a family of 5 today. So we can at least cut it down to some extent. That is possible. So you can do that, you can think of it. So this water is filtered. We can show you, I will show you if that is ready, we can show that also. I will again show you a few more things in the these are whatever I am presenting now, they are not necessarily for reading the whole lot, just to say that there is a topic like that, and you can think of using it. I just go back a little and first show you something about the summit, the Earth Summit, this one. Exchange of scientific knowledge, opportunities of all this happened. Now next, I will just rush through. Okay. Next. Down. This is the question. So this is what they say. There is Agenda 21. It's a bilateral agreement will have to be there, and they put up this US, EPA and all that, political will, and they made all this, and since 1992 this has been repeated and talked about, but no tangible action has taken place. So just see this. Just see. This is the major point. All people are equal. They are entitled for sustainable development of health and productive life. Then sovereign right to exploit your own environment. but not affecting others. So a number of things are there. Global partnership is required. Now, after this came into picture, something else happened, and that was the WTO. It was a very, very bad thing for some of the developing countries. We were at a great disadvantage, and trade was affected. So trade was affected because of the WTO. Now it is a little gone. No, next one. So this also. Those we will not read all that. All that we'll just see. Okay. Okay, they are not in the order. I just want to put this. So this is the point we said. Ozone will be reduced by another 3%, and then it will be a problem. 1% reduction in ozone equals 2% more of ultraviolet rays. So it is not just the heat alone. Ultraviolet rays is very bad for health, and that is one. Then I want to put this to show you. This area is the Deccan Plateau. So that is the most affected area because there will be no rainfall. There will be no equitable distribution of rainfall. Already it is a scarce area, rain-fed area. Then the top portion, all this is fully governed by the Himalayan rivers. Ganga, Brahmaputra, Indus, all those rivers are taking care of the north. The northern rivers will dry. Some people expect it to go away or become little streams in just about 50 years. It may be 50 years or by the end of this century. So this is a threatening point for the North Indians and South India. The monsoons, wish I can take this out. Can't take it out. Okay. So India has the greatest problem. Leave aside this portion. The whole of rest of India will suffer quite a lot because of water problem. In the south, the monsoons are likely to evade us, go away. Now you see one situation. If the normal monsoon is going this way, it is now trying to go like this also. It is going towards Gujarat and Bombay. Why is this? Not sure. It is because there may be a slowing down of the rotation of the earth, revolution. So the Coriolis force is not up to that mark. So it is not carrying the water to the right, it is not carrying it here, but it is going here. So that is one possibility. Then the other, the Himalayan rivers, when they dry, it is not just this region, it will be all the neighboring countries there. All of them will suffer, including China. So the Yellow River, the Yangtze River, all of them will be affected. So the effect is there would be a human catastrophe which indicates that there will be refugees, not the war refugees, but the water refugees. It will be the water refugees which will be affecting us in course of time. That time, in course of time, could be 30 years, 50 years or 100 years. But already we have that. We have people from Bangladesh coming to us. We have people coming from other places. So those refugees will be in millions. It will not be in small numbers. So this is a point which we will have to think of, how to do it, how to make it. So floods will be more. Why the floods will be more? All the Himalayan rivers will empty their glaciers. The floodplain area in India, which was only about 25 million hectares during the early 50s and 60s, has now gone up to 60 million hectares. 25 million hectares, around 50s. Today, it is beyond 60 million hectares. That means to say, the area covered by the floods in each year will be around 60 million hectares total circumference or total area. So it may be more in one place, less in the other place. So this is where India is most vulnerable, and therefore we have to take care of our water, of our land. Both are essential. And what about food? 60% of the grains are coming from irrigation. That will all be cut off. It will be very, very meager. Now what about the groundwater and utilizable surface water? Utilizable surface water is only at the border here and Madhya Pradesh and around that. Rest of it, no. So if you take 3-4 states which are the bowl of production for our country, the Haryana, Punjab, Western UP, all these have overexploited their water. More than 80% of the groundwater has gone dry. So they can't give you any food. And what you expect of the southern country, once in 5 years, you have a sure drought in southern states. This is another danger. So you have a situation where we will have to ask and go begging for food grains. Where do we get food grains? All the other countries are also sailing in the same boat. They will not be able to supply you food. Even America will not be able to supply you food. Australia will not be able to supply food. So this is a situation which would be a possibility in about 30 years or 35 years. Because we expect our water resources, which is currently at 20 liters per head per day, 53 liters per head per day, will come down to 20 to 25 liters per head per day in about 40 years. By 2050, our water consumption should be only that much. It cannot be more than that. So when you say water consumption, it is not just drinking. It is for bathing. It is for washing your car. It is for making your clothes. It is for cleaning your stable or washing your floor. You will not have water for all these things. Even today it is a problem. Now I have more water with me in my ears, in my eyes. They flow. When I see people washing their cars or cleaning their front edge, only 4 feet width and 4 feet length, that they want to clean it. I don't know why this is so. So much, only front edge, that much water, 4-5 buckets of water there. That is very wrong. So you should think of doing that, reducing it. Then we will just run through this, not necessarily to explain anything. Oh, okay. Yes. I think I will be fine here. Okay. Okay. I will be here only. So 4,000 kilometers square, that is Those are our requirements. Next. So there is more than 3,000 millimeters of rainfall per season in Assam, Kerala and all the places. Remember this Assam and Kerala, they have a lot of rain, but they don't have water in the summer. It's a very strange thing. You even go to the Himalayas, there is no water in so many places. So they have to struggle hard to get one bucket of water somewhere. Then Rajasthan 150 mm. Then you have water potential, quite a large potential is there. Irrigation potential and all that. We also had committees to interlink the river. KL was the first, Dastur and others were there. So many people came forward to suggest this, but this is not going to be all right anymore, because what is Ganga now? Ganga is Ganga or Yamuna. It is an effluent. You can't think of taking it to drink here. So that is a thing which we will have to think of. Okay, now there are 12 major rivers, then 46 medium, 90% with total runoff, then 8 rivers of minor nature, 80% of the flow during monsoon, groundwater resources not fully utilized, but wherever it is utilized, it is overutilized. Then you have irrigation potential also. Groundwater in Karnataka and neighboring states is going down very steeply. As the groundwater level goes down to more than 500 or 600 feet, the tearing zone of the two rocks where you fit your bore, there the danger is the arsenics. So the arsenicals will come into this picture, where you drill your water at a very low, very great depth of 600 to 800 feet. If you have more than 800 feet, get your water analyzed very frequently. Next. Oh, sorry. So we have a lot of situation, but unused rivers. Turn it. So lot of it is there, but still what we find that the entire northeast and between these two, Tungabhadra and Kaveri, there is lot of area which is again a completely dry area. Though we say we get 450 millimeters of rainfall, it is only in terms of some years. Next. Kaveri is one of the most well utilized river. Now I just would like to tell you what a rainwater harvesting system is. You just collect it, you have a tank, that itself is a rainwater harvesting system. But what is the principle of rainwater harvesting system? First principle is, do not let your rights go away. Your rights are your roof, water. So that should not go out of your building. So that is number one principle. Number two, recharge what you cannot use. What you can use, collect it, use it, filter it and use it. So this is what we can do. It can go to a recharge pit very nicely, storage can be made. Next. Okay. Okay. Storm water drainage should be also kept. You will have to think of 100 square meter, you get this much rain, many calculations can be made. So down. So it is all around. Now you go to modern apartments. I have gone to some apartments, not an inch of space is allowed for rainwater to get in there. All of it is plastered fully, and so no water goes there. It is all sent outside to the drains. Next. Right. Now this is a soak way, that is when the water is coming, stop it and allow it to percolate down through a hole. So that mouth is this one, next, up. So for that, small bricks can be put, and you can allow the water to go through an inverted pot. So water can be partially filled and it will go. This is a very ordinary thing. Next, it can be done in the villages. Now recharge of a well from runoff is quite possible, and so this runoff gravity, it is coming through. Filtration can be done, this one. So you can use any of these things, jelly, half-inch jelly, 1-inch jelly and all that. So clear water can be let in. This is a possibility. Next. Now this is a very difficult thing. In the hard rock area, in the terrain, bore wells will have to be cut open. So this is the bore well, part of it will have to be opened. You will have to fix a lid with perforations that will fall down, up. So it will go, again perforations, then it will reach down. So this is a possibility, but this is not being done in most places. This is a very cumbersome process, and even after doing it, you are not very sure that you get the water filled up through this. Similarly, there is an infiltration tank for rainwater. This is done. We can do it very nicely anywhere. Next one. This is so forests are lost, overgrazing is there, groundwater is overexploited, neglect of tanks and dams, and inequitable distribution of water. And what do you have? Next, up. And you will have your woman carrying water from long stretches, maybe 5 miles or 6 miles in rural situation. This is happening because of our negligence in all these aspects. Next one. So we have this. All of us must remember that we have rented this world from those who will succeed us. We have the obligation to watch over it, protect it, and to exploit it as little as possible. Now, what are the alternatives? You create awareness. Every year I am giving about 10 to 12 lectures in the schools. I also discuss in Rotary clubs and Lion clubs. I also talk to people, and this is an awareness program. But my point is, I do not want to go away with just creating some awareness. I want people to take some action. So this is where I am trying to tell you. So the strength of the chain is the weakest link. And so I think there is the weakest link in all of us. All of us are sometimes weakest links. And we do not really fall into the line of what is being told good as good. Next. Use what you just need. Do not waste and pollute. Improve accessibility. Adopt holistic approach. So you should think of the whole ecosystem. You should think of all people getting that benefit, and you should think of economics, and you will have to pay well the laborer. So you will have to mend and replace where breaks are there. If it is the weakest link, that is our human nature. We have to change ourselves. So we will have to regenerate and rejuvenate our values. And this is all told in our Vedas also. Our future climate is likely to be 1.4 to 5.8 degrees more. Sea level can rise, heat index can be more, and extremes of floods and droughts quite a possible. We are experiencing it right away. Then cold waves and frost, that is also there, and crop yields are declining, and global warming has increased by about 35% now, methane by about 15%, and we are not at 370, we are beyond 385 ppm now, carbon dioxide, and methane is also very high. Nitrous oxide over 17% now. So I didn't talk about this El Nino. One of the countries, not sixth anymore. This I prepared long time back. We are considered number one country in making all carbon dioxide as our prime aim. That is wrong. So we will have to think of it. Next. Oh, these things can be omitted. Next. Okay. I have told you about that. Yes, that you can see. About climate change, you will have to think of. I began this talk by saying about the clouds and the rains. Then we are propelled by the sun, and sun, once in 11 years you have sunspots, and we are trapping this heat through greenhouse effect, and we are doing it more and more because we are negligent of this. Now you take the natural calamities also into consideration. You take the tsunami of 2004. 2004 tsunami affected a part of our eastern corridor or eastern coast, especially in Nagapattinam and nearby areas. It even traversed towards that. I also would tell you another tsunami which happened around 1830 or so. That one was so big, it was an earthquake, it was a volcano in the Indonesian area where it happened in 2004 also. The waters moved from there, circled round our southern Indian tip, went to Africa, circled round, went to London, and the ships that were anchored there were rattled by these waters. Fast movement of tsunami in a very short time. Even this tsunami of 2004 reached us in about 2 to 3 hours. All effects were seen in just 3 hours, I think. So it can be very catastrophic once it is there. So this may not be considered as natural, partly natural, but mostly there is a hand of human being. Then the case of volcanoes. You take the case of a volcano can erupt and bring lot of dust. In one volcano, it almost made the visibility impossible for a few months. No visibility, no real sun. I was in Belgium for 3 months. I had not seen the sun. That is rainfall in excess. This of volcano is something which is spreading all over the world. So if there is a volcano, dust, and dust, clouds, and the clouds can be dangerous sometimes. Now, what we have to remember is, when there is a volcano, there is a drop in the temperature of the atmosphere. What is our average temperature of the world? It is 15 degrees, 14.5, 14.8, it may be 15 degrees. But when we say the temperature can rise by 1 degree or 2 degrees, we are talking about this average figure. So if it is from 15, it goes to 16 or 17. So even if there is 1 to 2 degrees centigrade rise, there will be melting of the snow. Unfortunately, my others material did not work. Otherwise, I would have shown you some pictures of the Himalayan glaciers and all that. So I had to talk because that system failed. So I have talked. Now, next one is about not just about radiation. So you take the case of Sichuan glacier. It is highly polluted. This is where our Indo-Pak war took place. On that height, 80 kilometer by 2 to 8 kilometer width of glacier, helipad at 19,000 feet and dropping zone 22,000 feet. Every day during that war time, 10,000 kilograms of human waste were packed in drums and dropped in the crevices. This has happened. This is a reality. And what are you going to do with that? So it is that place where you get all the rivers, birth of Indus, Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra, all things are there. So you can imagine what is the fate of a war which is created by human beings, which is again affecting a large population. Now take the Antarctic Peninsula, 5 million 5 meter sea land, then retreat of this has taken place, and 2.5 degrees since 1940. So what we are talking about here is not the same as what we talk about a polar region. In polar region, if it is 2.5, it is a very, very high degree temperature, equivalent to some 6 to 8 degrees here in Bengaluru. Now, Antarctic Peninsula is again 13,500 square meters in 1974. It has also shrunk. So Larsen B shelf, it has shrunk by 40%. It is gone, 40% breakage. Next. So this, of course, is all of you know that volcanoes and earthquakes are taking place because of plate tectonic movements. Next one. Now, our monsoons are dependent on these 5 or 6 of them. Besides these 6 points, I mentioned 2 more points. One of the Coriolis force, which may be smaller. The other one, the whole thing may be affected by the whole climate in the Himalayan region. So we don't have any more cold region, it can be drier region. Next. Over. So I just wanted to show you 1 or 2 things which will also be of interest to you. I will be still finishing in 2 minutes. Yes. See, India is such a small country compared to Australia. Australia is only small. Brazil is that. China is that. India is that. It's a huge country. And India, if you put Europe, part of Europe is covered by that. And England is a very small portion of India in the top. So this gives you an idea about population. Next. So this may be our last thinking. It's part of Article 21 of Indian Constitution. You have a right to life, and industries have to be located somewhere else. But every nook and corner of Bangalore has some small industry or the other. Every residential area has become a commercial area. Nobody is fighting for these things. This is very strange. And everywhere you have noise. Nobody controls the noise. Nobody controls people fighting. Nobody controls the educational institutions. Nobody controls the hospitals. So where do we go? Your laws and rules and regulations are only in paper. Unless we, citizens, come forward, put forth our thoughts, and then meet and discuss, decide, and declare what is right and what is not right, and see that it is executed. This is required. This is highly required, and Indian Liberal Group is one such organization which tries to strengthen the minds of people, which helps people to think loudly, to discuss things, and any public cause, it gives a chance for you to say something. So, you know, Justice Puttaswamy, very, very sincere and hard-working person concerned with the whole life of people. He can recount of the ages of 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, how things have changed. He is very much upset with the way we are dealing with things, not just in the political arena, but in our day-to-day life. And so, at his age and at his inability, we have gone to several places. It may be Kolar, it may be some other place, it may be Banerghatta, we have gone together and seen. That is the intensity of the feeling of a person. That intensity of a feeling should come to all of us. Should we not do our justice? Should we not do our duty by at least bringing the issues to the front line and say this is right, this is wrong? And what is the solution? The solution is within us. It can be discussed, it can be answered. So thank you all for listening to me, and I am very grateful to Justice Puttaswamy and the Gokhale Institute for giving me this opportunity. I am heading an institute called the Environment Protection Institute. This is a very small body, and we have one branch in Gandhi Krishi Vijnana Kendra. There are 50 agricultural scientists who are working on this aspect. We are a small organization here in Bengaluru with Hazifs and other interested persons. Then we have opened 8 sub-branches in Tamil Nadu. In Tamil Nadu, we go every year, do some work there, and planting trees to prevent tsunamis. You see, protecting the eastern coast. We have done it. We are also doing some protection of our lands here in Magadi watershed areas. We are having competition for the students. Last year, 1,000 students participated in our competitions, and Justice Puttaswamy takes complete interest in that. He also gives some money for painting and drawing and all that. So those things are also taking place, and we are creating such confidence in the students. They can explain to you what rainwater harvesting is, how to do this solar heating, what are the principles involved. So if you come and attend one of those exhibitions that we arrange through the students, you will see what they know. They are better than us. They know more things than what we know. Then one of the students, see how much of inquisitiveness is there. He has taken an auto rickshaw, taken the samples of the gas coming out of his pipe, and he has got it analyzed. Then he has found a solution of how to reduce this. This is by a student through our exhibition. Similarly, a few girls did some work on diet. So they did for diabetic patient, this is the drug, this is the diet. For a heart patient, this is the diet. How much should be taken? What should be taken? So people would be explained what those things are. What is the principle? So this is something which the students at the 7th and the 8th standard are educating us. This is what they are doing, and we are encouraging this. So apart from this, we have adopted some school in a rural atmosphere, in a rural village now. We are about 20 people teaching them every Saturday one lesson on environment. So Mr. Raghunath is there, Mr. Prakash is there, all of them, they go on a prescribed date and teach them one lesson on environment. Similarly, we teach them about how to teach for the teachers. We conduct some programs for the teachers, especially keeping environment as the major thing. So it is possible that some of you are interested to do something, but you are not aware of what is to be done. You are not ready to come forward. If you are interested, if you want to do something, you can contact us. We will try to help you. Do it on your own. It does not matter where you do or what you do, but do something. So somewhere some benefit should reach the people, and it should start from the school age, and that is where we have been doing it. This exhibition and all that is being done for the last 10 years without any break. All the 10 years we have conducted one program. So there will be paintings, drawings and paintings for the lowest group. Then we go to essay writing. then we go to debates, then we go to elocution at the college level, then we ask the students, giving them some programs on some aspects like solar energy or forest. So some topics are given, they prepare their models, come here, discuss and present them. And lastly, do not use plastic bag. Use a paper bag. Let this not be just on the cover, but let this be in our heads that we will not use plastic bag. It's a very simple thing. Every day when you go out, you can keep a bag in your pocket, which I do most of the days. So you can take it out and buy anything you want on the spur of the moment. So especially you should avoid bringing your material from a plastic bag which is black in color. The black plastic cover is having lot of lead. That lead is transferred almost immediately when the vegetables or fruits are placed in that bag. And that when you come back home, even without washing, you just try to eat it, and then when you eat it, it will go into your stomach. I didn't tell you about a cancer producing thing. This is about lead. The other thing is nitrate. 7 women in Vanivilas hospital had a stillbirth. And then when we examined that, this was in 70s, all of them came from the same place. So those were examined, the place was surveyed, and it was found that that area had a batteries factory there, and people were taking water from that stream. So this is stillbirth case of 7 villages or 7 or 8 villages, and deaths, stillbirths. So this is there. And if your children are not really progressing well, maybe some lead has gone inside there. So you should be careful to see that your street does not have a welding thing, should not have an industry. Fight for it. We will fight for that. And EPI has fought with the Chief Minister and gave a memorandum to him and told him that you can destroy or take away a part of Lal Bagh. It does not matter. Let those trees go. We are not fighting for that. But give us 4 more Lal Baghs in Bangalore. So, those 4 more Lal Baghs have been officially said they will be given. He has mentioned that it is there in the paper. You can read the old papers. I have cuttings of the paper. He has promised that there will be 4 more Lal Baghs. Now, what type of Lal Bagh should be there for us? It is not just walking. This Lal Bagh which is here is an important second only to Kew Gardens in London, Botanical Garden. That's a botanical garden. Do not spoil that garden. Use it for a good purpose. It is not a fair. Only 3 days in a year for August 15th and 3 days for 26th January, it's okay. Rest of the days, do not take any of your children for picnic there. That is not the right place. Then the other one is you have the Tatguni estate. All of us can work together and say, okay, have your say something like a picnic spot for people to visit. It is a little outside in the Kanakpura road. We can think of that. On the north, we can think of the palace grounds or Yelahanka or GKVK campus. We have planted for nearly 1 week now. I have gone there for inauguration also. We have planted some trees. But we don't want all the people to go there and spoil the experiments. We receive about 10,000 to 12,000 farmers during the Krishi Mela every year. 12,000 people, and we bring them all in buses and we teach them about important aspects of agriculture, what they have to do for their own lands. Now, other public will also be benefited if they go there. because it is not just agriculture, but there are a number of other things which we will have to know, and that is what is required. So these are some of my small requests and statements. You can help us do many things, and we are adopting things like schools. We are also getting some sponsored programs. We are trying to work out on them, and we have taken up one energy plantation, and that is planting pongamia, that is honge trees in a watershed area with the help of the farmers, and we have donated those things, and we are continuing that work again. We have, I do not have too many things, but still I have some water value, something about water value, and a lot of work on water pollution. All these things are meant for that. This is about a big thing about honge. We can prepare good oil out of it, and we have a program called Seed to Sapling. Seed to Sapling. So what we tell the children is, during your leisure or while coming to the school or going back home, collect some seeds that have fallen from the trees. So they are asked to grow them till a substantial height of about 6 inches or 8 inches. So we allow them to grow them in some bags, some small pot or some mud is put there, some watering is done every day. So that is the first program, Seed to Sapling. From sapling we have to plant them in the field. So that we are trying to do it with the farmers. So these are possibilities. You are most welcome to do anything you want yourself or in collaboration with your friends and your street persons. Then also you can join us. You can join any other organization, but do some work, do something. Also, more importantly, is the awareness to be created. It is your world. There is a statement by some people that unless, even it has come even today or tomorrow, yesterday I think, unless we find a planet somewhere else, unless we find something else where we can shift en masse, we can't survive, because population pressure is so much, wants are many, and necessities cannot be fulfilled. And people die of water shortage, people die of hunger, people die of diseases, and this is a common thing. So this is what a scientist has predicted, and we don't want such a thing to take place. And let us go back to our Vedas time, and how much reverence they had for the Mother Earth. They will say, if I tread on you, I am so ashamed of that. So it is every day some people pray this. But what is the use in praying? Or they also pray about the rivers. Every day while pouring their water on their head, they say, this is Ganga, Saraswati, Yamuna. What is that they are doing? They are polluting all over. That should be reduced. So let us be more practical and do something which will be of some help to our own children, so that when we leave a better world to them. Thank you so much. It is very kind of you all to have heard me. Thank you. This is a brochure. I leave it to you, sir, and I'll also leave it to you. Some of them, they can become members if they can take a copy. Okay, thank you so much, sir. I can go down. Okay, thank you.
ನಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ 14ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಶನಿವಾರ ಸಂಜೆ 6 ಗಂಟೆಗೆ ಹಿಂದೂಸ್ತಾನಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೀಯ ಸಂಗೀತ ಜುಗಲಬಂದಿ ಪಂಡಿತ್ ರವೀಂದ್ರ ಕಾಟೋಟೆ ಅವರಿಂದ ಹಾರ್ಮೋನಿಯಂ, ಉಸ್ತಾದ್ ಫಯಾಜ್ ಖಾನ್ ಅವರಿಂದ ಸಾರಂಗಿ. ಇದು 14ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು. 16ನೇ ತಾರೀಕು ಸೋಮವಾರದಿಂದ ಆರಂಭವಾಗಿ 4 ದಿವಸ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತೋತ್ಸವ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮ ಸರಣಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಕೃಷಿ ತಜ್ಞರಾದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೆ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ್ ಅವರು ಪರಿಸರ ಮತ್ತು ನೀರಿನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತುಂಬ ಮಾಹಿತಿಪೂರ್ಣವಾಗಿ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಬದುಕಿನಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರಿನ ಮಹತ್ವ ಕುರಿತು ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಹೇಳಬೇಕಾದ್ದಿಲ್ಲ. ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ ನೀರು ಅನ್ನೋ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ಇರುವ ಪರ್ಯಾಯ ಶಬ್ದಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಜೀವನ ಅಂತ. ಜೀವನ ಅನ್ನುವ ಮಾತಿಗೆ ನೀರು ಅನ್ನುವ ಒಂದು ಅರ್ಥ ಇದೆ ಸಂಸ್ಕೃತದಲ್ಲಿ. ಮಾನವರ ಇತಿಹಾಸವನ್ನು ನಾವು ಅವಲೋಕನ ಮಾಡುವಾಗ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ, ಹಿಂದಿನ ಪ್ರಮುಖ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಗಳು ಎಲ್ಲ ಅವಸಾನವಾಗಿದ್ದು ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಅಲಕ್ಷಿಸಿದ್ರಿಂದಲೇ. ಇದು ಇತಿಹಾಸ ಹೇಳುತ್ತೆ. ಸುಮೇರಿಯಾ, ಬೇಬಿಲೋನಿಯಾ, ಗ್ರೀಸ್, ರೋಮ್ ಈ ಎಲ್ಲ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಗಳು ನಾಶವಾಗಿದ್ದು ಈ ಪರಿಸರವನ್ನು ಅಲಕ್ಷ್ಯ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದ ಕಾರಣದಿಂದಲೇ. ಈಗ 53-54 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದೇ ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಖ್ಯಾತ ಜೀವಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಜ್ಞರು, ಪ್ರಾಣಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಜ್ಞರು ಪ್ರೊಫೆಸರ್ BR ಶೇಷಾಚಾರ್ ಅವರು ಎನ್ವಿರಾನ್ಮೆಂಟಲ್ ಕ್ರೈಸಿಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಅದನ್ನು ಕೇಳಿದ ಅನೇಕರು ಇದೇನು ನೀರು, ಗಾಳಿ, ಬೆಟ್ಟ ಇದು ಕೂಡ ಮಾತನಾಡೋ ವಿಷಯಗಳೇ ಅಂತ ಉದ್ಗಾರ ಮಾಡಿದರು. ಇದು 53-54 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ಇದೇ ವೇದಿಕೆಯಲ್ಲಿ. ಈಗ ಆ ಸ್ಥಿತಿ ಇಲ್ಲ. ಅಂದರೆ 3-4 ದಿವಸಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಸಲ ನೀರು ಬರುವಂಥ ಬಡಾವಣೆಗಳು ನಮ್ಮ ಕಲ್ಯಾಣ ನಗರಿನಲ್ಲೇ ಇದೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆಯ ಪ್ರಾರಂಭದ ಹಂತಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ಮೇಲೆ ಪರಿಸರದ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇತ್ತು. ಈಗ ನಾಗರಿಕತೆ ಬೆಳೆದ ಮೇಲೆ ಪರಿಸರದ ಮೇಲೆ ಮನುಷ್ಯನ ದಟ್ಟವಾದ ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಕೆಲವು ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಹಿಂದೆ ಪರಿಸರವಾದಿಗಳನ್ನು ಹುಚ್ಚರು ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾ ಇದ್ದರು. 40 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ನಾನೇ ಹುಚ್ಚ ಅಂತ ಕರೆಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೆ. ಭೂಮಿಯ ಮೇಲೆ, ಪರಿಸರದ ಮೇಲೆ ನಾವು ಅದು ಸಹಿಸಲಾರದಷ್ಟು ಭಾರ ಹೇರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಈ ವಾದವನ್ನು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನಿಗಳು ಈಗ 30-40 ವರ್ಷ ಹಿಂದೆ ತಳ್ಳಿ ಹಾಕ್ತಾಯಿದ್ರು. ಪರಿಸರವಾದಿಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ ಖಾಲಿ ಗುಮ್ಮ ಎಬ್ಬಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮಹಾ ಗಣ್ಯರು ಅನ್ನಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡವರು ಹೀಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದರು. ಉದಾಹರಣೆಗೆ ಖ್ಯಾತ ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಲೇಖಕಿ ಅಯನ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಅವರು ನ್ಯೂ ಲೆಫ್ಟ್ ಅಂತ ಬರಹಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗೆ ಬರೆದಾಗ ನಾನು ಅದನ್ನು ಖಂಡಿಸಿ ಆಕೆ ಜೊತೆ ದೀರ್ಘ ಪತ್ರ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೆ ಅಯನ್ ರ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಜೊತೆಗೆ. ಬಹುಶಃ ಇವತ್ತು ಆ ಧಾಟಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾರೂ ಮಾತಾಡಲಾರರು ಅಂತ ಕಾಣುತ್ತೆ. ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಯ ಗಂಭೀರತೆಯನ್ನು, ಪರಿಹಾರದ ದಿಕ್ಕನ್ನು ಸೂಚಿಸಿ ಮನಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ತಟ್ಟುವ ಹಾಗೆ ಮಾತನಾಡಿದ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಕೆ ಶಿವಶಂಕರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಲಿಬರಲ್ ಗ್ರೂಪ್ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ಘಟಕದ ಹಾಗೂ ಗೋಖಲೆ ಸಾರ್ವಜನಿಕ ವಿಚಾರ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆಯ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಕೃತಜ್ಞತೆ ಸಲ್ಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೇನೆ. ILG ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರು ಅಧ್ಯಕ್ಷರು ನ್ಯಾಯಮೂರ್ತಿ KS ಪುಟ್ಟಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಅವರು ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಬಂದು ಉಪನ್ಯಾಸಕರನ್ನು ಗೌರವಿಸಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ವಿನಂತಿ ಮಾಡ್ತೇನೆ.